I'm Brittany Powers, and this is my EDL 853 Module 13 case study assignment. Let's take a look at this case study and the people involved. The people involved are myself, the principal, Miguel, a student who recently has a disability, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, his parents, Ms. Gussman, our school counselor, and Howard Carey, Miguel's attorney. This situation took place months after Miguel was injured and disabled. This event is happening as soon as Miguel returned from school, and it's actually his second day back to school. The situation took place at the Nottingham High School, where I'm the principal. A little bit about this specific situation. Miguel is a student at our school who was the quarterback for our football team, and in an important game of the season, Miguel faced an injury that resulted in a spinal injury, and it left him paralyzed from the waist down. Now Miguel has need of a wheelchair, and doctors have finally approved him to return to school. Now, before he returned to school, the parents met with Ms. Gussman, our school counselor, and discussed the terms of his return and what he was going to need when he returned. The parents communicated that as long as he had access to all of his classrooms, they would prefer for him to not have any other accommodations. They felt very confident that he was going to be fine. Returning to school, he was eager to get back and be among his peers and be back in the school building. So they didn't feel worried about him, but they did have one request: access to all of his classrooms. Moving right along, Miguel does return to school, and they have an assembly welcoming him back and just honoring him for how he served the school and the football team. And he was awarded a trophy by the principal. Right after that, he goes to his first period class and is immediately pulled from class by Ms. Gussman, the school counselor, once again, and she notifies him that he will no longer be in his biology course, which is his third period class, that he's going to be enrolled in a different science class that will still help him graduate, but might not necessarily give him that edge on college enrollment. The reason for this is because there is no wheelchair access to the biology room where that class takes place. It is a school building, and so a number of the classes happen in trailers outside of the school campus. Now, after that, Miguel's parents schedule a meeting with the principal, myself, and at first it's just Miguel's mom, and she is fighting for Miguel and demanding that he is able to stay in his biology class. Now, a little bit into the meeting, Mr. Hernandez shows up, and he has Howard Carey with him, who is Miguel's attorney. And the attorney comes in and basically communicates that there's a problem and it needs to be resolved, and they're unhappy and willing to take action because of the fact that Miguel is not receiving a free and appropriate public education. For this next slide, I am going to demonstrate my ability to evaluate multiple sources of inequality and bias in the allocation of educational resources and opportunities. So I'm going to be reflecting on the situation that I just described. After reflecting, I'm going to use the information to identify the legal issues involved in this case as well as the ethical issues. So first, let's take a look at the legal issues. Miguel does not have an IEP yet. However, the school has knowledge of his disability. Everyone's aware that he's paralyzed, and so we know that he's eligible for an IEP. Therefore, we can be held legally responsible since we have that knowledge. With that being said, Miguel does have a right to a FAPE, and if his parents choose to take action and sue the school, we could be held liable because he will definitely get an IEP if they choose to go that route. And therefore he would be entitled to all their protections that come with an IEP, and that is a part of FAPE. Next, parents were not consulted in a change to Miguel's education plan. At this point, it's not necessarily a legal issue because he doesn't have an IEP yet, but if they do choose to move forward and get an IEP for him, then he would have all of those same protections. So it may be a legal issue since parents were not brought into that decision. If it doesn't turn out to be a point of the case that Mr. what's his name? Sorry, Mr. Carey brings up, it will definitely be an issue of ethics, though. Either way, the school should have notified the parents that they were going to be changing Miguel's academic plan and consulted with them about that, especially because of the sensitivity of this situation. Moving back to legal issues, the very last one, school officials did not even choose to meet with parents to discuss the possibility of an IEP. That's pretty important because he needs an IEP. It's evident by the fact that he was removed from one of his classes, and so parents might not have all the information they need to be a good advocate, especially since Miguel didn't grow up having a disability. So it will be the right thing for the school to inform them of that process and to seek out building an IEP for Miguel, especially since they have full knowledge of his disability and the needs that he's going to have. Okay, scooching over to ethical issues. Ms. Gussman did not communicate the parent request to the principal or the SPED staff. So she, according to the notes we have on file, Ms. Gussman was the only person in communication with the parents when discussing Miguel's return to school plan. So she was the only person with the information that his parents requested that Miguel have all access to each of his classes. That was never communicated. Now, to be fair, it should have been a consideration on my part either way, but since it was a specific request, that should have been communicated so that we could take care of them. The next ethical issue, parents were not given counsel on how to proceed. The school did not notify parents of Miguel's schedule change, and the principal, myself, I was minimally involved in Miguel's return to school plan. Now, I am busy. I have more than 3,000 students, but the nature of this issue is so sensitive, and this family needs support right now, and this situation has a lot of attention in the community. I should have been very involved every step of the way. Next, I will synthesize this situation in one, I apologize, very long sentence. My synthesis is as follows. Negligence and lack of communication create a situation in which a student is not properly cared for and parents become his advocates. It's my personal belief that these parents wish the school or the district no harm, but they probably feel blindsided by this situation. And who could blame them? Section 4, a synthesis of the facts. So what we know is parents and Ms. Gussman discussed the school return plan. Ms. Gussman notified Miguel that he will no longer be in biology. What we don't know is, was anybody present in those meetings besides Ms. Gussman, and maybe it just wasn't reported? That will be helpful to know. Next, was I aware of either meeting or the schedule decision being made? Who made that decision for his schedule change? And was the principal notified? Really, A principal should be involved in serious changes like that, especially for such a sensitive situation. This whole scenario is taking place at the high school, and some classes do happen outside in trailers because it's such an old school building. What is not completely clear, but it is implied, was the biology class in a trailer outside, and maybe that's why they can't get a ramp up to it. Next, are there other biology classes that are offered maybe next semester that Miguel could be entered into? Maybe it will be happening in a room that's a little bit more accessible, and potentially we could have an easy solution on our hands. Last, let's take a look at what we know about the program. It's a large high school with over 3,000 students, and the school is well respected by the community. What we would like to know about this program is Zoom class attendance and option. Is there a biology option that could happen in a resource room? Maybe one of the SPED teachers could provide that instruction in a different location. And what accommodations can be offered for Miguel moving forward, making sure that he is able to get around the school with ease, with least restrictive environments, and we just want the situation to be seamless for him. And what are we able to do to make sure that he does have that free and appropriate public education? Okay, next, let's review and prioritize all this information. So I just kind of narrowed all of this down into considerations that are important moving forward. What I identified is Miguel's college admission will be affected by not having biology. That's a big deal. The school is at risk of a due process hearing. That could be expensive, and that could ruin or tamper with our reputation within the community and the support and good relationships that we've worked hard to build. That could potentially ruin some of those, and we don't want to do that because community relationships are very important to us. Next, here are some of the unknowns that we need information about. Why did Ms. Gussman fail to communicate the family's expectations and requests? Who moved Miguel out of his biology class, and why were parents and myself never notified? Next, in the next task, I will demonstrate my ability to cultivate the equitable use of education resources and opportunities through procedures, guidelines, norms, and values. So I did that by coming up with 5 different options of how to move forward and take care of this situation. So number 1, do nothing. Allow parents to proceed with an attorney. We don't have a ramp to get Miguel into biology, and he does not have an IEP. Option 2, find my own attorney, fight the parents. Option 3, apologize for the misunderstanding. Allow Miguel to zoom into biology for the rest of the semester and explain that nothing like this will ever happen again. Option 4, Option 4, apologize for the misunderstanding and series of miscommunications. Approach the situation with gentleness, humility, sincerity. Do your best to connect with the family and just show them that you genuinely care and that you hate to say it, but you are blindsided by this situation as well. This will require a level of humility for not being involved with his return to school process. But option 4, just go above and beyond to ensure the family of your commitment to Miguel and his education and making sure that he's taken care of with everything that he needs. Allow Miguel to return and remain in biology and complete work maybe in a resource room some of the time and other times by zooming in to those classes, those sessions. And then next, schedule a meeting with parents and SPED team to discuss an IEP. Notify my superiors, follow up with Ms. Gussman, gain clarity about the situation, and ask her to apologize and help mend this wounded relationship with this family.